Good afternoon. Hello, welcome to the Daily Live. Been ready to go for ages. Ned's just been going on about some book. Classic. Yeah, we were ready at 12:59, but I'm sad about a book. Anyway,
it's nice to see him show some kind of emotion.
Emotion,
you know what I mean?
He's got a girlfriend, though, so
no, I know. He has to show all the emotion.
So the emotion is back. We'll see him crying at a raindrop on a petal of a flower. And stuff like that, which is fair play to him.
That's fair play to him.
Fair play.
No issues
to him. Basic tricks is, why do you hate us, Ned? It's the first question that you have to ask. Okay, Mathew Onana. We've got him on the thumbnail today. He was linked again yesterday. Murmurings from Belgium, his agent, Arsenal, Chelsea still being mentioned with him. I don't know whether that's out of hope or out of any real interest, but apparently Arsenal are looking at him as a possible alternative to Declan Rice,
who might be going to City,
who may well be going to Manchester City,
because they could be losing two of their players, couldn't they?
So at least Gundogan went yesterday and the others going out the door. So I mean, what we've asked on the thing, would the sale hurt Everton? Where are you with Mathew Onana? Coming for 30 million quid. At times look good, at other times I think the game's passed them by a little bit. It's obviously, in my opinion, got a big ceiling. But where are you with it?
I don't know whether. I think the money, if there is some money to be brought in, it has to be used correctly, and that's always the biggest issue with Everton, isn't it? When that happens, we've debated lots of times about, me and John spoke last week about or earlier this week, sorry, about Richarlison and the money we got for him and how that was used, and it has to be used correctly. If that money came into the pot and could be used to buy three good players, or three players that they look at that you could be in be in the first team or fight for the first team, then you'd look at it and go, well, that's the way to do business.
Yeah.
But we don't know that, do we? And that's the problem. You'll be losing a midfielder who's potentially who has been a starter all season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But a couple of injuries here there. He's played a lot of games this season. He's contributed massively. I know, his level maybe has been controlled by the level of the team and his position in that side and things like that. Of course, we've got James Garner, but he's not the same player. Doesn't have the same kind of physicality to take that role. So you'd have to replace him straight away. You're having to replace the player himself. And that's always an issue when you sell a player. If you haven't got someone who can take that space immediately, you're backing them up. And now, has that work already been done to go and find a replacement for Onana? Or are you just selling him out of necessity? Or the fact that he's not happy, or he sees that there's opportunities, because there seems to be lots and lots of movement this summer already. There seems to be big players leaving big clubs, and you've got the Saudi aspect of it, of course, as well, helping some of those clubs out with the finances. So, I mean, again, emotionally, there's no real pull there. I like the lad. I think he seems a nice enough lad. Seems to give everything. He's not someone you can talk about his performances and his highs and lows. Of course he does, and people see different things when they watch him. If we was to sell him and it was to benefit the team and it wasn't just to benefit something else, that when we've had to sell other players, then I don't think I'd have a real problem with it. I don't think so. But as long as that money was spent wisely, but as I said, that isn't always the $1 million question.
Yeah, it is. It is how we invest it. If there was credit in the bank for investing in good young players who we then make on them, and it goes round and round, then you'd have more confidence in any kind of sale. You'd be like, well, we'll just reinvest it. We'll have players lined up. Like if you were a Brighton fan right now, and they were selling Casido, you'd have confidence they'd replace him, wouldn't you, with other players, if they haven't already got them in the door now. And Brentford, I suppose, have done similar, and other clubs. With us, it's not quite been the same. Well, it just hasn't been the same. We've sold players, we've sold Richarlison and don't bring anyone in.
Do you think those two clubs have purposely been brought up because the agent recognises that they will lose midfielders this summer and already have lost midfielders? Arsenal looking to strengthen They obviously want Rice, but that's no way.
It's not a
100% going to happen when Manchester City and possibly Manchester United is in the frame. And certainly if Manchester City are going to lose Bernardo Silva as well as Gundogan, they're really two massive players. When you think about Gundogan towards the end of the season, but Bernardo Silva pops up. They have, and when you look at their squad, you think, who would they replace them with straight away? And they'll go, well, we need to drop money on players straight away, and they probably wouldn't.
See, if they got Declan Rice, he's short there, midfield short.
No, that's what I mean. And actually, I think Declan Rice they'd push him further forward because they wouldn't have to sit him in that role. They could let him push further forward. So then you look at Arsenal and they're apparently open to selling Thomas Partey. I don't know why Thomas Partey doesn't want to be in the country, but they're open to selling him. So
Xhaka, apparently.
Xhaka's going, isn't he? He's already got it. He's linked.
Is it German?
I think so. Yeah.
So he could be out.
So there's a couple of spaces now. I think Onana would suit the way Arsenal play. I think surrounded by better players. So there is it. I suspect it's his agent pushing for that move and seeing where Chelsea are always in flux. They're always in flux, aren't they?
Players, aren't they?
So they'll be open to that as well. So if his agent's seeing there's movements and seeing that, he'll be pushing these stories. That doesn't mean the player hates being at Everton or wouldn't be willing to have another season. But they're just trying to take advantage of all this flux. I think that's going on at the moment. There's a lot of flux.
It's their job, isn't it? Yeah. What they do, sadly, that's what they do, and they take money out the game and the unsettled players and everything else. But I think from an Everton perspective, I think we all realise that we're going to need a sale to give us more freedom, or it appears that way anyway, doesn't it? We don't know, but it appears that way, that Everton are going to need a sale to have the purse strings loosened. And your only real saleable assets are him and Jordan Pickford, aren't they? And maybe if you sell one of them, you don't have to sell the other one. And maybe if Manchester United came in for Jordan Pickford with a big offer and Everton decided he would sell him, or he really wanted to go, then maybe that would make Everton go, well, we're keeping Onana for another season, and he's, we'll get another season out of him, and he'll be more experienced in the Premier League, as maybe his levels will go up to a similar level as what we're at now. Higher consistency when he's playing well, consistent, and next summer we can get a bit more for him, and we'll have had the benefits of him for a year. But I don't think I'm not convinced how much we can strengthen. Well, I just don't know how much we can strengthen without a sale of him or Pickford. So that's how it seems to me, and it almost in my head, and I'm probably totally wrong, but in my head, it's almost like it's what we're gonna have to sacrifice one of those two players. It may not work out like that. It's just how it feels, because again, there is no communication. There is no moves that that are out there right now where Everton are close to bringing X, Y, or Z in. So we're gonna sit here and debate it, aren't we? Especially when his agent.
Apparently, his agent's his sister.
Yeah. So she might know.
She might know, mightn't she? But listen, if the lad is unhappy, in terms of, not unhappy, that's the wrong word. If the lad thinks this is the opportunist time to go and push for one of those clubs, then
didn't look unhappy when he was doing all this.
Oh, I know,
and getting his
way. Listen, I have no issue if players are in it and they're in it during the season. But once the season finishes, then they do have to look after themselves. We all want them to be these people who are going to die for the club and all that kind of thing. But once the season, once the season's done,
it's done,
and they can start thinking and looking back.
Light today, then, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
And they looking, and for him, he'd be looking and going, well, okay, it's not as if we feel like we're a club on the up, is it?
No, I mean, Begovic has come out today and said something, hasn't he?
Has he?
He's come out and said, he's done an interview today and said, the squad and everything is fought really hard, but it's not easy when the people upstairs are all over the place, basically. That's what he said.
Good, because that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want more people shining the spotlight. That's the way it is, because at some stage in our football club, at some time, someone has got to be an adult and go, right, we've got to sort this out now. You can't just go hand to mouth every year. It's what Everton have done for too long. Other clubs seem to be taking over. There seems to be a direction which way the club tries to operate. Now, it isn't always successful, and a lot of clubs have been the way Everton are. They have. Man City were all over the place until Chief Mansour coming. Shinawatra had them all over the place. Liverpool had a takeover, and Hicks and Gillette, and it was terrible. That so much so they went into they were 40 minutes from administration before FSG got involved. So it does happen at other football clubs. It's not just Everton, but it's happening to our club, and this is why we now need it. Now, if Mashiri and Usmanov want to remain involved, then they're going to have to take things seriously and get people in to run it properly. Yeah. And then there's got to be a through line.
I'll give you this quote, exactly what he said. He said, "We obviously had some financial issues and a lot of inconsistent people running the place, so that makes it very difficult for the staff and the players." Interesting words. A lot of inconsistent people. He was obviously being nice.
He's trying to be nice, isn't he?
But
and it doesn't take a genius to see we're all over the place. There's not one through.
Yeah.
You know, there's not one through line where everyone's pulling the same way. And I don't know how.
I think we're very consistent.
We're very consistent in being poor and poorly run. So we've got to get that back, and however that happens, there's got to be new people that brought in who have got a way of doing things. You know, you listen to John. We have John on the business, our business we're playing on Premier, but we have John here on the live, or you just sit and talk to John, and sometimes he baffles you and blinds you with business jargon and science. But there's always messages in there, and when you take the message, you'd always think that doesn't really happen at Everton, though. And I will say to John, he's sat over there, so I won't give him too much there. But I do say to John, as he's saying to me, yeah, but that's what you would do, John, because you've worked in businesses where there is that clear, like, destination. We've got to do this, we've got to do that. And he laughs and goes, no, but it should be like that there. But we know it isn't like that. So how do we get people into that football club if it isn't John Blaine, like John Blaine, who go, this is what you have to do to move forward? Because we're at the mercy of someone, aren't we? Really, we're at the mercy of an owner who's not been to Goodison Park since 2021, I believe.
You need people who understand the fundamentals of business, yes, but you need people who understand football as well. That's clear as day, isn't it? You need people who understand the business of football. You know, experts. You know, and you look at I mean, obviously what the board was made up on. Bill Kenwright would have been the biggest football expert on there. Yeah. But I think, you know, his time, obviously, whether people agree or don't agree, his time of when he was actually at his peak of his business was probably running the football club. What I mean is like 10 years ago. Yeah. 11 years ago. Football has moved on from them, especially because of the FFP situation and all that, and how football clubs have to be run differently now. Yeah. So you need to bring in people. You always have to keep everything updated and fresh. And this is something Everton have struggled with for a very long time. There's far too many people stay at Everton Football Club.
Do it on here. I'm in the process of it now, looking at everything we do and going, like, how do we freshen that up? How do we do that? Does someone really do that at Everton Football Club? Is there someone who is looking at it continually or every summer, or what? Whose job is it to do that? If you're the CEO, and you've got a stadium being built and stuff, I imagine your hands are full with a lot of stuff that's going on. Whose job is it to assess everything else that's going on? Isn't that the board's job?
Because
but people, what I mean is
they delegate, don't they? They delegate to other people. They can't. The board don't run everything at the football club, do they?
No. But when they have their meetings, shouldn't that be when they're looking and going, what are our feedback?
Well, I imagine so. And
but there's four of them.
I mean, John would be able to tell me more or tell us more, obviously, but there's about 1 million heads of roles at Everton Football Club. They must all have a job. They must all have a purpose. You know, whether number one, whether they're allowed to do the job is one thing. Whether, you know, we were talking about this yesterday, maybe with the director of football. We were saying, why on earth does the director of football need to pick up the phone maybe twice to speak to someone to sign something off? Shouldn't he just already know that? Shouldn't that just be part of his job? You know, surely everyone has a role in a business where they know how far they can push it. But if you're the director of football or something, you should know what your budget is, how far you're allowed to go with something, and if there is extraordinary circumstances, then maybe you do have to pick up a phone and say to someone, listen, you know, that budget with someone, well, I found this player, he might cost us a little bit extra, can we squeeze money from a different area or something? I'm sure those conversations happen, but no one takes responsibility. I mean, we're sitting here, it's over a week now, over 48 hours, and we've got one board member, the chairman, MSP. Okay, not gonna start getting worried about that, because things do take time. You know, lawyers are on a lot of money. They don't mind sitting there, do they? On the money they're on. Nope. They take time dotting the I's and crossing the T's. But clubs are starting to move. Like Villa last week, bringing Monchi in. You know, getting things moving in the direction they want to go in. Beginning of last season, let's not forget as well, when we used to talk about like football clubs, and we used to say how, you know, beginning of the 2010s, us and Spurs weren't far away from each other, and then suddenly Spurs ran away. Well, let's remember this time last year, it was all who's going to be sacked first, Gerrard or Lampard. Oh, yeah. Well, look where Villa are now. They've gone into the stratosphere compared to where we are. They've got European football. They've got Emery. They've got Monchi.
It can change.
His mate. Yeah, but that's the point.
Don't look at Villa and worry.
No, I'm not worrying. What I'm saying is that they've moved. Yeah. They've made decisions quickly. Yeah. And they've flourished. They got into Europe off the back of it. You've got to start. We're doing what we do every year. We're sitting there going,
and they've got ceilings.
Yeah, they're on the way, aren't they? They're moving quick, and they're not looking back at us going, ooh. Yeah. They're going, can we catch the next fella above us? Can we get European football, have a good season, do what West Ham did?
Yeah, absolutely.
And look upwards, and who can they attack because of that? And we're waiting for people to come back from holiday, or waiting to appoint a new board, or waiting for MSP to get to buy in. It's just.
Do you think they almost think that when they walk through the doors at the new stadium, it'll be like a magic bullet, and all of a sudden everything will just pop and everything will be okay? No. Do you think in their mind that's what they think? So this is almost
like... Whose mind?
Well, I used to think like the CEO, and because
if this goes the way we think it's going to go, there's only going to be Farhad Moshiri left. Really? If we think
so, in his mind, then, or is that a through line that's within the football club? Do they? Because I know there's some people at the football club who were well aware of Everton's problems and well aware of what needs to be done.
I'm sure everyone at the football club's aware. I'm sure every single person understands what the problems are at the football club. But can they do anything about it? If the owner says to the new board, right, if you need me, I'm on my yacht, but leave me alone. Yeah. And you know what your budgets are, and you know.
Well, that's great.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. And if they're good people and they're good, competent people, and they understand football, and they let people do the jobs, and they let everyone at the football club do the jobs, and it runs smoothly, and no one has to ask anyone else's permission to do their job. Yeah. Then I'm sure we'll get ourselves back into a situation where we can have a go, basically. Yeah. But I don't know whether that's going to happen. So it's...
Of Key says, on Onana, depends if the 20% clause is for profit or for total. We done this last week. John done this to death last week. It's on the profit. And John explained why last week, but it's everyone I've spoken to since who are involved in football. No couple of agents. Spoke to them about it. It'd be unheard of almost. I'm not saying it's totally unheard of, but it'd be almost unheard of if it was 20% of the total fee. Because as John pointed out last week, we've already paid for Onana. So you then can't pay. Like if Everton sold them, what people were saying last week, if Everton sold them for 30, we'd still have to give 20% to Lille. So either cost us on an agreed sale of 30 million, 36 million or whatever it would have been. It's on the profit bit. So if it's 60 million, we have to give them 20% of 30 million, which would be £6 million. That's the way it is. Could that other 24 million be invested then and used as amortization or whatever? Then yeah, it could be. I think John's explained that loads of times, certainly to me. I'm probably bored of explaining it to me, but I do ask him because I need reassuring myself when you're trying to do these things and you're trying to plan in your head and think, how can we move forward as a football club? And 24 million can go a long way. You just have to be aware that 24 million needs to go a long way next summer and the summer after if you're going to amortise it, which is kind of what Chelsea have done. But that's, to me, that's fine because then you can start controlling it and you're ahead of it going, right, well, we know as a football club we need to either sell a player or do whatever to get that money next year, finish higher up, do whatever. That is the juggling act I think Everton are in right now.
Don't you have to start looking from... Don't we all need to looking from the idea that we have to sell a player every summer now?
I think so.
Isn't that the way we have to? Because just we talk about
a lot of clubs.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying this is what we. This is a common theme that we speak about. When you look at football, we've been talking about this last 2 days. When you look at football and you see the direction it's going in, there's no way. There's no way
we can't.
We compete with that. There's no. I was looking yesterday at Twitter, like lad on Crystal Palace follower on Twitter, and he was looking at the same thing, and he was like, how do Crystal Palace compete? And you know what I mean? And it's like Everton aren't that much far away from Palace in terms of it's only really the attendances that are much different. We probably get better kit deals and probably better sponsorship deals and that kind of thing, but it's not, the numbers aren't big enough to close the gap on the teams above us. So we're going to have to start preparing ourselves to sell a player every summer now. And that means bringing a player in and like Onana and hoping you get 2 years out of them rather than 1 year, and then getting the maximum profit you can get after 2 years. And in that year in between, getting another player in who replaces him, and then doing that all over the pitch basically. And that's sad. But that's just the economics of it now. There's not a chance we can keep up with these football clubs while their money is coming in from all these different, Manchester City, the multi-club system and being owned by Abu Dhabi, Newcastle being owned by a country, Chelsea, who knows what, Manchester United just by being a global power, Spurs and their stadium and how they've leveraged that and the NFL stuff and having Harry Kane, and it's just, you just can't keep up with these clubs like the way we used to be able to in football, and they're just running away, and we're just going to have to get real about this and start looking and going, you're going to have to sell a player every summer, and that is the way it is.
But if we work to that, and our fans are aware of that, so if that's the way it is, we'll get to a place where we don't always have to do that anyway. If we start doing it, I think for me, you're right. In some respects, we're never catching teams like Liverpool and being a. We've said this before. You have to come up with. It's almost like when Barcelona were running away with everything and looked and went, we can't play that football. So Real Madrid developed a way to play a different way to counter it. We've got to look. And Brighton, and again, keep mentioning Brighton, keep mentioning Brentford. I get it. But 10 and 15 years ago, it was Everton who people mentioned. Because Everton were doing it the same way as Brighton and Brentford with no money where other clubs have money. There is a way for Everton to compete and to get into Europe and all that, but it takes a big reset. The reset can be now. The reset can be right. This is how we.
We keep waiting for the reset,
but
though.
We do. We have to. I'm saying as fans. So as fans, we need to look and go like you've just said. We probably are gonna have to sell a player every year, so we have to get used to that. Stop listening to links for £90 million players and going, we can get him and get him. We have to be realistic.
But the problem is that if the owner doesn't think like that, then it's just not going to happen, is it? If the owner doesn't think like that, and that doesn't get passed on to the director of football, then
Yeah.
How's it going to change?
Yeah, it's true.
So
Gareth Hughes says the EFL trophy draw has been done. Group H, Burton Albion, Doncaster Rovers, Mansfield Town and Everton under 21. He then goes, get it on the socials, Ned. The EFL trophy draw that the 21's playing.
Could be our big tournament this year.
To be fair, that's a good grief for Everton 21's.
Big tournament that.
Could be Wembley. Never know. You never know. Right, let's have a little
apparently, Lukaku apparently might be going to AC Milan.
Linked with Everton yesterday.
No, that don't be silly.
I'm saying he was linked. I mean, it doesn't mean absolutely anything. Liam says, afternoon, gents. People are overreacting a little to no signings yet. Very few teams have made signings. It's still early. I'm more concerned MSP taking an A to be announced. You'd think logically that will kickstart any transfers in or out. I'm concerned about outgoings as incomings. Okay, fair play, Liam. Yeah, I mean, technically you are right. There hasn't been a ton of signings. And just because Everton haven't announced anything yet doesn't mean there's not stuff ongoing. In fact, I know they're looking at left backs, they're looking at forward players. Whether they can get them in is a different thing, isn't it?
The question you've got to ask yourself though about that is whose need is most. We need players.
No, we do.
We need players,
yeah,
don't we? That's the thing. Last year we knew around this time we were getting James Tarkowski in, so our need was massive. So we have to get ahead of other teams.
I don't think our manager is a shrinking violet though. I think if he thinks someone needs to be in, he'll kick up a bit of a fuss. I think he will. I'm not saying he's not Rafa Benitez, like, you know what I mean, and start coming out. But I think he's back now, isn't he, from his holiday? So I think he's been in to Finch Farm. So we'll see. Mike Barrett says it all depends on how the funds are spent. That's if we sell Onana. Based on the evidence we have, I don't have much faith. Yeah. Everton Vikings says 1st of July next week. Do you think Everton are just refusing to acknowledge the whole 48 hours comment in the hope that some bigger drama will come along and take eyes off it and that Bill is staying? But they know announcing it would cause a lot of chaos and anger, so they're purposefully ignoring it. Also, here's my player suggestion. Samuel Lino, very similar to Richarlison, can play across the front three, works hard, got a bit about him, hasn't hit the heights in Spain, but very good in Portugal, on loan with a view to buy. Well, they're the players we need, aren't they? They're the players we're looking at. I seen something yesterday which did make me laugh. It did amuse me. It was like Denise put the announcement out, and just as a piss take, put the 48 hours bit on the end and press send before anyone could amend it.
Before they changed the passwords.
I went like that with the explosive behind it. I don't know. I mean, who knows when there'll be anything announced. You see, they could, if they knew the board members, they could even almost push the chairman announcement to the side for a sec and go, oh, these people are coming on the board, without even referencing Bill Kenwright for now. The fact that nothing's been referenced, nobody, or the chairman's position.
They said 48 hours, didn't say which 48 hours.
Yeah, it could be from any time, couldn't it? Could have been 48 hours before the season.
They just could be 48 hours on, I don't know, Mars time.
You know what?
You can't argue with that because you don't know.
No, you're absolutely right. Everton Viking mentioning Lino, the Brazilian, of course. Bit Richarlison-esque, that we said. Brazilian, get him in. I think
we did.
Or did we? We've had three quickly, didn't we? No, I know, but did Alan come in before Bernard went out the door? He did, didn't he? No, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Didn't he come in and then Bernard went out about 3 weeks later?
In the summer, Ancelotti had already came in.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Bernard only went out in like the.
No, they played in the COVID season together, didn't they? Bernard came on. Didn't Bernard,
no, he did.
Bernard scored
in the
Spurs game.
Bernard
in the
played
cup when
at
we won
West.
5-4. That was the first full COVID season.
Yeah, it
That's
was.
when we had the core and
He played at
James Rodriguez
West Brom away as well.
Scored against United as well, didn't he?
Played at West Brom. Yeah, so we did. We had 3 Brazilians. See, that was when we were peak in the last few years.
Knowledge is abysmal.
Steve Peace says, I think it hurt us more if we didn't sell him because we're going to need those funds to reshape this team. I genuinely believe that centre mid is the easiest to replace because there's so many young, strong, mobile midfielders we could get for half that price. But if we go and replace him with Scott McTominay, then what's the point? We could get Astor Franks for around 10 million. He's similar to Moises Caicedo. Would have the potential to make big money on him as well, as he's the type of midfielder the Premier League teams want. Also, mate, why have you put this fella in? You've just put him in to get me to pique my interest because he's in my. I was doing a little thing for us of some players that I wanted to get, and you've put him in. You've heard me mention him before. It is, of course, Maurice Kjaergaard, who is at Salzburg. I love him. 20 years of age, massive left foot. 6'3", centre mid. Probably get him for like, I don't know, 18 mil. He'd be worth 132 million in about a year.
He's going to Dortmund.
He'll be going to someone good. But these Everton should absolutely be all over him. Absolutely. Brian Farrell says he thinks Bill could be seeing some transfer negotiations to their conclusion. You know what? That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he was, because he's. Oh, it wouldn't though, because we've got no one else who does it.
It would.
It wouldn't though. It wouldn't. I still think he should go. Absolutely, I do. I've never ever said any different. But if he's part of doing some transfers and he's the only one with any experience there, then that would be a reason. But this should have all been sorted anyway. We shouldn't be the 22nd of June not knowing what's going on. We just shouldn't. This should have been done. The announcement should have been the day after Bournemouth. That's when it all should have been.
That's like saying if I needed to go to the hospital now for an emergency, I'd let Paige drive me because she can drive.
Not if she's been driving you for years anyway. I'd let Paige drive you.
She delivers the car.
I would let Paige drive you. The one thing I wouldn't let do is Paige.
You wouldn't take us in a car if I was bleeding. If I was bleeding, right, like massively, you would not let me in your car.
Not unless you give him petrol money.
Yeah, you give me petty money.
See,
you wouldn't let me in your car.
Listen, I'd let Paige drive you. I just wouldn't let Paige use a slow cooker or an air fryer around you. That's the one thing.
That's why I'm injured.
That's it. That's the thing. We'll come back. We'll come back to that page at some stage. Rich Bond says, "Aren't we supposed to be full of hope pre-season? Feels like the club are aiming for some sort of consistency. At least it's a drag now, and come August, hope I'm wrong. Hopefully, there's the Ped's tattoo says it all, doesn't he? It's darkest just before dawn. Hopefully, there will be a new era.
I've changed it actually. It now says, "What's the fucking point?"
Fair enough. Mike says, regarding your transfer shows, I think the defence will be an interesting one for you to look at next. Obviously, we need a new left back, preferably someone to improve on Michalenko. Walker Peters would be ideal. He wouldn't be costly, could cover right and left side, which is another bonus too. Adrian Truffert or David Yorosek are other good options. Yeah, Yorosek is a good option. The centre back, which is more difficult, sure, we all hope Brandtwaite eases into the side after PSV, but think we also have to prepare for the possibility that he's still not quite good enough already. If that's the case, do we really want to be relying on Michael Keane or Ben Godfrey still? That's where Connor Cody might end up back here, isn't it?
But then yes, yeah, because then you're saying, well, we've got this young lad and he mightn't be quite ready, and we're going to buy somebody else. Or you just leave the young lad in for 25 games and let him develop, I suppose. It's difficult, but that's how young players do it, isn't it? It's how they've got to have their ups and downs. It's not always easy, and sometimes it's funny because you're forced into those positions, aren't you? And there's nothing you can do about it, and good players come out the other side of it.
No, absolutely. Casey Dorgan says, guys, I'm fitting a boiler in a loft and it's roughly 30 degrees Celsius up there.
Oh, mate.
All morning I've been listening to yesterday's episode. It's keeping me going. Love the channel. Plug for my own company, the Copper Gas Company. Cheers, guys from Casey. Fair play, mate. Fair play. I might need a new boiler soon, Casey, so I might get in touch with you.
Lofts, man. You just in this time,
Lofts.
just go in your loft tonight. Just open your loft, and you will be just like,
Yeah,
Horrid.
absolutely.
you could probably that could be a slow cooker.
Could be.
The loft.
It could be.
The loft could be.
It's like the submarine.
Taylor says, Baz, another one of your recommendations, moving clubs. Junior Adama away off to Freiburg for €8 million. We done, of course, go Adama the other day, didn't we?
€8 million.
8 million.
See, now when we talk about getting you like doing business now, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about getting in there ahead of other people and going, oh, there's a kid there for £8 million. We've been scouting him for ages. Let's go and get him now before everybody else notices.
8
That's
million.
when people say I'm not really worried about I'll buy people because no one else is buying them. It is that necessity to jump in and get those players. But even Brighton were buying players in May.
Yeah, absolutely. Gaz says, I think if we sell Onana, the one player, we have a massive ceiling. Says a lot about where we are as a club. That being said, that's where we are as a club. So I think he'll go, well, that's it. We've got it. We've got to just accept where we are. Steve P says, Baz, did you watch Patrick Wimmer the other night for Austria? Looks really good. Reminds me of Mudryk. If we're going to spend 25 million plus on Nonto, I'd much rather have someone like him. Or Bakayoko from PSV. He's going to end up going for big money in a year's time. We can't be buying more left wingers. That right has been massively neglected and needs addressing. We could get a centre, mid, right winger and left back if we sold Onana. Obviously, we will be signing a centre forward regardless, plus another one on a free. Yeah, all good recommendations there, mate. Andy Campbell says hello.
How excited would you be if we signed someone from Austria?
Excited. Because it'd make me think, they actually are looking in the right places at last.
Would you wear lederhosen for the reveal
I don't know.
video?
It's a bit hot.
Yeah.
It's a bit hot.
The shorts.
Maybe.
Little hat.
The
little hat.
on and give it the Art Thomas Muller. Give it the claps. And
National Lampoons.
Yeah. James Warland says talks of Lille back in for Gomez. What do you do with the money? Buy another player or use it towards the 15 million for Alia for 26 games? Well, I can't imagine we're going to get much for Andre Gomez. The Piv says, as much as Onana will earn Everton a profit, the margin isn't big enough. Need to be finding players for 15 million you can sell for 55 rather than buying one for 30. Yeah, absolutely, Andy. Absolutely, Andy. Come on, And. Kjaersgaard, come on, talk to me. Talk. You know how much I love him. Talk to me about him. Talk to me about Junior Adama as well. David Green says, I think there'll be movement from July 1st. Ruben de Souza says, can Ped tell us what colours the kits are going to be?
No. One's blue.
One's blue. Liam Dunn says, scream if you want to go slower.
Yeah.
Well, scream if you want to go louder, if you remember.
Scream if you want to go louder. That's the famous
That is the
catchphrase
famous net
that you will hear all over theme parks this summer.
Scream if you want to go louder. Peter Roberts says, sell Onana to a Saudi club for 100 million and watch him next season in a Newcastle shirt on loan. Fair play, do we? If you get 100 million, do we? Gray says, if Chelsea want to buy him and ruin him even more than Everton do, then it's at least 80 million. Manic Wolf HD says, are we more likely to sell before or after the 30th of June? I think we're fine in this year. So I think if we were going to sell him, you'd probably sell him after the 1st of July. I'll look for a thumbs up off John here. Yeah, John, agrees.
And then you're covered next year, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. You've got that in the bag. So get it in your bag.
Safe. Staying that on.
Yeah. There can be only one. There's no problem selling them as long as there are a few replacements are good quality. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hit the like button and subscribe, please. Thank you very much. Where are we here? Corin says, afternoon, lads. Will this club ever get fixed? I keep on hoping things will get better.
Hopefully. Get the right people in place.
Got to, haven't you? It starts with getting it all sorted now, doesn't it? Instead of leaving it. KS 09 says, can't believe Baz just said that about Ken Knight and transfers. Now, again, what you've done there, you've sat, you've listened to a line, and you've put it through your own thing and come out with
That's it, Ned.
the wrong conclusion.
Absolutely
Haven't
right.
you?
You're
That's
right,
what you've done. Once again, people do not listen to what is being said. But that's fine.
Ned.
That's fine.
Spot on, Ned.
Yeah, there you
It's the
go.
theatre connection.
Amadou Onana is a really good midfielder. Now, you'll probably hear that as he's the worst player Everton to play football. What I said was, if, I'll spell it out for you just so you're very clear. If the owner hasn't changed the chairman at the moment because he's doing transfers, then I understand that. However, what I also said was, I will change him. I'm not sure where you missed the bit there, but hey ho, it is hot today, to be fair. Branthwaite with Tarkovsky will be like Stones with Jags, says Manic Wolf HD.
Maybe.
What, we're going to sell him to Man City and he'll win the Champions League?
Maybe you've got to. There's a young player there. Everyone likes him. Everyone wants him to do well. We know what the alternatives are. He could save us a lot of money. Let's give him an opportunity. You know,
the Blues, I have to, because you say things and people just turn it and listen to a different message. Don't they?
I think you said I love Bill Kenwright.
Yeah, I've got a T-shirt on here.
It's what
I've been very consistent. Keep him. The greatest man ever to walk. The greatest Evertonian.
Shocking.
Even though
of
he's a
Baz
red.
and Bill's theatre connections.
On a bed sheet.
Grant Ingles.
Sharpie. On a bed sheet. Great.
Grant Ingles. You see, I was.
I think this year would have been his breakout year, and next.
There he is. There's Grant.
What is going on?
Someone's got a bedsheet there with Grant. Save Grant Ingles.
Ingles.
And people are being.
Hey, if it was Grant Ingles, everyone would be made up.
Yeah.
If he was a foreign accountant,
Spanish
everyone
financial
would be
director.
made up. Everyone would be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Emery wants him.
Emery and Monty.
Monchi and Grant Ingles.
The XG of Grant Ingles is absolutely perfect. It
is hot, isn't it? People,
I'll be honest, right? The whole thing with Grant Ingles on the bedsheet was amazing, because the lad, I don't know whether he's good, bad, and different, but he had as much power on Everton's board as Ned.
As much power as Ned on Everton's board?
As Ned has got now.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
If you put If you put Ned on Everton's board, it'd be amazing.
Why have you had your hair cut and your beard shaved?
Hey. I thought your girlfriend said she liked your beard.
I know, but I thought if I do it while she's there, she can say, yeah, that's okay. So I done it.
What, you shaved in front of her?
I made an absolute mess of it. So when I got my hair cut today,
hang on.
I asked me barber, can you do me beard?
Hang on.
I thought you was doing your beard
and he gave me a clean.
Hang on.
One.
Are you really, don't take this the wrong way, because you're a young, impressionable man and you made up you've got a girlfriend.
She's not asked if I got a beard or not. She just.
Well, you shaved in front of it so she could tell you the level that she found acceptable.
I just want to make sure it still looks quite sexy, which I do.
I'll be honest, mate, you didn't go for plastic surgery, so that's out the window about you looking sexy. No, it's not. Look at his face.
Yeah, look at his face now.
Look at him.
Look at him grip.
Look at that face. Just look at his face.
I didn't realise how big my nose was when I shaved my beard.
Oh, Ned.
Ned,
just be yourself, brother. Just be yourself.
Beautiful it is.
Think of the things.
I don't understand why you had to shave when you knew you were going to your barber's.
Couldn't your barber just?
No, I tried to do it myself, like
but
fade
just
and stuff,
gone
but
with
it
the
looked rubbish.
Fair play to you.
So I got him to just do it, just shave it all
You know
off.
when there was your barber oscillating when he cut your hair over?
Oscillating.
No, but he was.
He didn't oscillate.
Ned, it's all good, man. You're glowing. You're glowing, my friend.
Nice.
You're glowing. You're looking the part.
The hair.
You're looking the part. You're going to get all those free tickets for
the
the Pleasure Beach.
Oh,
it's going to be
You know
good.
what this is? You know what this is?
What?
Scouse trim.
Yeah. Why did he do that?
It's literally not.
What's this? Scouse time.
Yeah. Scout's time.
Scouse time. I love that. What's this?
Ralph McLaughlin says, can we get Piv and John Blaine on the Everton board? Someone who knows about football and business.
Piv hasn't got the time.
Cam says, Piv, are we friends, yeah?
About as much as Baz and Bill can right
Daddy
now.
Cam.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right, where are we?
Well, what was on there then? I'll just leave it there then. Yeah, that makes sense anyway.
Toffee Boy says, with the imminent delays on Anfield, will we be playing more games at home at the start of the season?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think he can say. I don't think he could do them now, could he?
I don't think they could do that to us anyway.
Mm.
It's not our fault. Their stadiums, if their stand is delayed, the rumour is it's a month. Then that's probably 2 home games, isn't it? I'd imagine.
Yeah.
One-
We're at home at the 12th and the 26th, aren't we?
So it's one home game.
Is there an international break then?
Yeah, so it's probably 2 home games that they mightn't be able to open that full stand.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fair play. Fair play to them. Now put your camera on, show everyone your trim. Well, just to show people your trim. Go on. You can smile. Smile and wave. The camera's above you though, innit?
What are you doing? How hard is it to... Oh, there he is. Look at him.
There you go. Do a little
Lean
turn.
back,
Do
lean
like
back.
do like a little model.
Lean back.
Like
No, not that far.
Turn slowly. Like look at
That's it.
Paige. That's it.
Go on,
There
just
you
go.
go.
What's the...
Look at him. Yeah, look. There you go. Full circle, and there's the face.
It's not clean shaven. What are you talking about?
Absolutely.
You're not clean shaven.
Yeah, but it's like
But you've just said you were clean shaven.
You're not clean shaven.
But it's...
Well, it's not cleaner. It's just shorter than yesterday.
someone could be from St. Helens.
No, it's not.
What's he talking
What are you
about?
talking about?
You've just had a trim. Your beard's been trimmed.
Good stuff.
Fair play to you. Stubble. Where are we? Yeah, I've done that one, haven't we? What's the Ruben de Souza, best left-footed right winger in the country, says, what's the absolute lowest price you'd sell Onana for? For Ruben, it's 60 million. It's got to be enough for us to be able to use them. There's no point selling them for like 45 million, is it? It's not going to do anything. And we're losing a player who is very good. Don't know, you haven't got a number.
I don't know. Listen, the metric of footballers is just... would we lose that much value on them if we kept them for another season? No. The value would probably go up because if you had a good season, more acclimatised. You just... I suppose what we said, like we said before, you just get the feeling that few big clubs want players this summer and maybe the market won't be the same next year for those clubs who were offering the big money.
Yeah.
And maybe that's... Because who are you realistically getting 50, 60 million pound from?
It'd only be someone
Exactly,
like Chelsea.
exactly.
So,
So-
no one else is paying
And
for that.
if the market is there now, is that market going to be there next summer? And unless he has an absolute phenomenal season where everyone goes, bloody hell, this player's amazing. So, yeah, I mean, listen, 55, 60, maybe.
Okay. Everton Vikings says, I still think left wing is a key position. Right now, McNeil is our only left winger, and he's had a good 6 months, and historically doesn't score more than 2 goals one season aside. Front 3 and left back is the most important places to sign. We need goals, we need pace, and we need athleticism.
Yeah, well, we need 2 strikers off the bat, don't we?
See, the only thing is with that is just right now, like I agree with you, but right now we've got Damari Gray, who would say his best position is on the left wing, wouldn't he? And also you've got Alex Iwobi, who may well say his best position is on the left hand side as well. So there's kind of 3 players you can play in that role for Everton on that side. I actually look at the right and think Gray can go there, but he doesn't beat a man and put crosses in. So I'm cutting in onto his left foot's not an option. Alex Iwobi doesn't put any deliveries into the box. He just works hard out there. So the right wing is really... We just haven't got a right winger, have we? And that's a huge gap for us that we need to fill, really. And preferably one with someone who's got goals. Steve P says, have you still got all that Ancelotti merch in the loft?
That's why the loft's so hot. I use it as insulation,
Fair play.
along with me Frank Lampard stuff.
Oh,
That's also
Frank.
helps.
I wonder what
with
Frank
the
will do now. Him and Stevie G, what will he do? Start a band
Stevie
together?
G's going to Saudi, isn't he?
Is he going though?
He'll go.
Just to get back
3
in?
months.
Yeah, 3 months,
3
9
months.
billion pound
Yeah.
a week. Surely Lampard can jump on that bandwagon.
No,
as well.
that's he's that bad that even Saudi Arabia.
Is he worse than Gerrard? Sure.
Yeah.
Jazzy Jeff says, depends on if we have a plan, spend money wisely. 50 million for Onana if we spend 15 on a winger and 20 on a striker. 10 on a fullback and 10 on a centre mid to challenge guy. That wouldn't hurt us. But that takes planning and thought. I would give James Garner more time. Well, I think he'll get more time this season. He's also proved he can do a couple of positions and he works hard for the team and the manager likes that, doesn't he? The manager appreciates you putting the graft in. So, yeah. Eugene McGeever says there's a story there saying Bill Kenwright to quit Everton within days.
Yeah. I heard that
Well,
a week.
fair- yeah.
I heard that a week ago.
Well, fair enough. I'm sure he will.
He can't because he's too busy doing transfer dealings for Bass.
I'm sure he will, but we need what about the other people coming in now? Even forget about him for a second. What about the other people? Is that announcement to be done? Is it not going to be done until the ink's dry on a contract? Are we going to get interim people? But if we were going to get people interim, surely that would have just been done last week and just gone Colin Young and whoever else is on the, Richard Kenyon there on the ball for now. If that was going to be the case, and that hasn't. So therefore, that would suggest it's going to be people who are outside the football club.
It's above my pay grade. I genuinely thought you had to have 4 people on a board, John Blaine.
It's 3, isn't it?
Well, there isn't 3 though, is
We've
there?
only got 1 now, haven't we?
Are their names off yet, John? Is there a time limit? Yeah.
The foresight to do that.
Someone's got. Anyone contact the company's house?
Yeah.
There's no one there to contact
No.
company's house?
No.
You.
So if the directors don't act upon what the shareholders expect, i.e. the Hospitals Association, then you can call a general meeting to deal with them. Well, one shareholder owns 94% of the business. It's bothered. We've got directors, therefore.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, John was saying it only matters if Machete cares and he doesn't care. So
I'm not sure that was his
No,
words.
that's
cares about how many people are on the board.
I know. But I was doing a short angle.
Yeah.
Can't hear you. Sorry, John.
Jakey Boy says, is Colin Chong a real person? It's
He
so
is.
great name. No? He is
Chongster.
very much a real person.
Chongster.
Yeah. He's been at Everton a couple of times. He's a good fella, actually, Colin Chong. Toffee Boy says, I like Onana, but James Garner was one of the most consistent players in the last few games of the season. He was. But
Very small.
mobile a lot.
Very
I think he's
small
all right.
window of games.
Yeah, I think he's all right, Garner.
And
I
he
think
didn't-
he'll get better and
He
better.
only played.
But he wasn't in his position,
No.
was he? He was right back for a couple of the games, really, wasn't he? But that's why Batista Mendy. Don't get him.
100%
But again, he could have had him, Junior Adama for €8 million. You could probably get Kjaersgaard for 17 to 20 million. There's players, there's value out there. There's left backs, there's strikers. But until we get some extra people in who want to do these deals, and what can we do? Jakey Boy says, fair play to the Chongmeister. Fair enough.
Chongster.
James W says, Tom Davies linked with Monza. Fair play, if he leaves. Yeah. Fair enough. Good luck to him.
I've just
I
found
think he
this.
looked good in Italy.
I've just found this amazing stat.
Chilled out, yeah.
Iwobi was a more accurate crosser last season than Mahrez, Saka, Almiron, Anthony, Solly March, and Alisi from Palace. There you go.
Stop the pip, trying to back his people up again.
No, Piv hasn't been in touch with me at all. These stats are just on the top of my head.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fair play. Fair play. I'm still yet
Andy
to
is
see him.
always going to back his own
I'm
horse,
still
isn't he?
yet to see him cross a ball and someone header in. And I've watched him for 46 years. The which? Kevin Murphy says, lads, the most important question is, do you know bonkers? We'd absolutely know bonkers. Went to Switzerland with
Bonk 17 hours.
Yeah. He's a good lad.
We moved to the front.
Wasn't just because of him. You know. It was the chat about Crocs that made us move to the front.
It was the chat about everything that made us move to the front.
And people's mums roasting.
Yeah.
80-12 times. Yeah. There you go. And Wormy Spoons, they haven't made that 48-hour announcement. Harrison says that's because of Obi puts in 2 crosses a season. So his scale is it's easier to put a cross in there. There you go.
I mean,
you know.
there's science.
That is.
There's probably logistics.
You know, it's like saying Ned makes the most accurate cups of tea. Because he's made one in his whole life when you've asked him to. His levels would drop massively if he started making tea every day. Where are we? Like the last couple. David Green says, any updates on those Crocs? What a conversation. Is there any updates? You put ones on last night that I think Kane would wear. Yeah, they look like
Kane's getting
they
them
look
for
very
Florida.
much like trainee type.
Kane's
Crocs.
getting them for Florida. He told me. He said the only issue is he might come back with like a suntan of just the holes.
Just the holes.
The
That
holes
is the problem.
might be the issue.
That is an issue.
Kane, listen. Kane very much is. He's got like a Wayne Rooney kind of chic when he goes on holiday. You know, the vest top, the shorts, the big lollipop. That's kind of Kane's look.
Well, in Florida,
he's in the Magic Kingdom.
Are all right, mate.
Well, that's it, yeah.
What? So
That's
I'm
it.
all
And I think Kane is putting that strong noise out there about the Crocs. But he'll be one of them who'll be like, he probably saw ons and went, "Oh, I'm not wearing them." Like, but you know, once a couple of his mates who've got a bit of influence on him bought them, then he was all over the. He was all over.
Talking about Kane or Ned?
Everyone. Apparently, just off the stat off the top of my head, he had 2.43 crosses per 90 minutes. He created 17 chances from crosses last season. And apparently, Baz needs to go to Specsavers. That's what my brain's just told me.
That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. Andy can come and sit with me in a match and watch how good Alex Iwobi is at crossing the football with his heel.
I don't know why. By the way, why am I the one giving up? Like when I'm the one who practically.
The worst thing about this is
I've
actually defended Iwobi through his Everton career.
Listen. He's okay.
Exactly. That's where that come from. You giving him stick and me go, he's okay. Even in his darkest moments, I was saying he's okay. He is, Ned. He's a good player. He just doesn't cross the ball like a wide player. I just hate the way he crosses it with his heel as well. Just does my head in there. Go down the wing, fire crosses in. That's what I want to see. Play him in centre mid anyway. Just put him in the 8 and just get on with it. Everton Viking says Steven Gerrard actually meant to be going to Sheffield Wednesday, who of course parted company with Darren Moore yesterday by mutual consent, having just won them promotion.
Yeah, of course.
Phil Williams says bring back Gerard Delafay, who loved him. Defenders had no ideas.
He gets a career-threatening injury every 6 months.
I did love Jerry, to be fair. Bob Pendleton says, gents, have we discussed what's happening with the stadium and proposed opening date? Another poor strategic decision by the board. I think what they're doing, Bob, is they're trying to downplay in case something goes wrong and they get over-criticised again, I think. We're going to be in it next season, aren't we? That's the way to look at it. When that first game will be, we'll see. Greg Ball says, would you take 25 million plus Breuer from Chelsea for Onana? I'd want more. I'd want more than that. Breuer's coming back off a knee injury.
Because if you only 25 million on paper comes through when you spend 30 million on him, it doesn't sound on paper 25 million plus a 20 million pound player. So you'd be selling a 30 million pound player for 25 million essentially, wouldn't you? And it happens to be getting a player as well. You know what I mean?
Those words in a different order, I think, would have made really good sense. But the order you put them in just didn't quite work.
Right, let's wrap.
But you're going there, mate. You're glowing. You're glowing. You're on the time of your life, son. Keep it up.
Meant to say.
Also, just on the Iwobi stats that are flying off the top of my head, only eight more right wingers cross more per 90.
I don't know why he's having a go with me. I've defended him all day long. I've defended him since he come in to the club.
Oh my God.
I still don't like the way he crosses a football. I'm still.
I don't. It is horrendous.
When he runs down the
he
wing,
does that thing where he puts like that whip on it, but there's no pace on it, and it never gets to the player.
No. Get him.
But fair enough. Fair enough, Alex.
Yeah.
Keep smashing it. Keep smashing life.
Crossing it to Mathew where it went wrong. No, not really. The Blue says if Iwobi put his foot through it when crossing it, it'd end up in Rosido, Baz. Fair enough. Declan Ryan says Iwobi does have a very unique technique. Almost like he did against Palace and had 2 sixes and let Iwobi.
Yeah.
But the other problem is the core. I mean, what was that?
What was that noise then?
He'd be strangled over it.
Sounded like Page's air fryer.
It did.
Under stress.
But the problem is, Abdoulaye Doucouré does it better because he scores goals.
Absolutely. Apparently, Iwobi led the way last season.
Here we go.
In Instagram posts by 19 posts.
That is something I can get behind. You see, he don't. I mean,
He had more jets
more jets
per posts than any other Everton player.
than
Begovic led the way in horses.
He did.
Coaching
He
kids
did.
footy.
He did, to be fair. Good goalkeeping coach.
Tom Davis led the way in artistic photos of Liverpool City Centre.
Very good. And now he's got some in Italy
yeah.
as well. So fair play.
play.
Simon Creevy says if Fulham come in for Damari Gray, do we sell him?
I mean, I'm just waiting.
You are a big fan.
I'm
of
waiting for
Damari
his
Gray.
value to rocket once he plays in the Gold Cup.
That's it. I think he'll have a stormer this weekend against US.
Because we're all going to be up, aren't we? Saturday morning, going into Sunday, 2 o'clock kickoff.
I will be up watching DC against Cincinnati.
So, well, you know. Back on the boy. Back on one of our own.
Hope he does well.
Back on reggae boys flying. Looking forward to it.
Why not? Right, last couple on Prem and we're going. Maxter says proper wool haircut that Ned.
Who said that?
Maxter.
Listen, Maxter. I'll give you a wool haircut.
I mean, that's a great one. That's a great one.
The comeback.
That's the
comeback.
That's the one.
The lad is flying since he got a girlfriend. He works at a fair.
She's great on the Walters. Paul Gold says under the thumb already. Ned gets shut before it's too late.
Yeah. I think it is already.
Never be under the thumb.
Bill says about the crossing, but having no goal scorer hurts. Oh no, Sell Onana having no goal scorer hurts more. Jonathan Ricketts says add Sell Onana, Holgate, Iwobi, Sims and Gray. That should give Thelwell enough to improve the squad. We should hear about Ellis Sims, shouldn't we? Apparently, there's a decision. Mind you,
Who's making the decision?
I was going to say.
making that decision,
there was a decision.
Who's doing the negotiations, Baz?
Imminently. It said. You know what I mean?
I've just got this vision of Everton getting a new tractor at Finch Farm going, lads, look what I got, yeah.
That's it. Big cab. This will make us better. Peter Hall says Ned the Wall had his coat cut. Don't know about that one. Come back with a one liner and we'll finish it there. Go on. The last word to you, and that was from Peter Hall, who's a very nice man, but you know.
Can I not offer Peter Hall some comedy advice instead?
You can. You can offer Peter Hall.
Peter, that was bad. That was awful.
That's it.
Oh, Sam Avery really rubbed off on you.
He did, yeah. It'll be you. Sam's bottle's gone now in case you get invited to live at the Apollo before.
Me and Sam had this connection, and I think that connection was comedy.
Sparks.
It must be.
Ned actually told Sam Avery, a professional comedian. I walked in to find Ned talking to him, saying I wanted to do a comedy set at the premiere night, but these wouldn't let me. And he was like, we do comedy courses, you know, if you want to come down and do one. He went, nah, I'm born with it.
Sam was probably.
But he was proper straightforward. I was loving it.
I was about to tell him the joke I was going to tell at Patreon night. And
you need more than one joke.
A comedy set isn't
it was that
one
good.
joke.
People would have just been like that for like 10 minutes.
Do it again. Do it again.
And all I would have to done is gone like.
Don't
What's happening here? I think your problem will be no one will understand what you say. You've just got all about the gone and gone,
Ned,
and I've got.
It would have gone down as well as the Joker's comedy set.
Who?
Right. Mad Welshman says thinking of getting Prem. Come on board.
Come on board.
Come on board.
Where all the fun happens.
Let's do it, mate. Let's do it.
We might do a show where we just let Ned do his comedy.
James W.
Might let Pay to have a cooking show.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what Ned can
James
Burning
W.
down the house.
says life story of Ned is defo a comedy night. Right, hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. We will see Premier members later for Round the Tower. Take it easy. Bye.